I feel like a little kid. It's not often I have a guest on this show who I don't know him, but I admire the hell out of him. I've been watching him, and I watched Saturday in what was a tremendous fight. Chael, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Mark, thanks for that introduction. I'm doing great, thanks.
This is Chael Sonnen, everybody. UFC fighter extraordinaire. Middleweight, right?
Middleweight, that's correct. 185 pounds.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you now, when you went up against this Nate, how do you pronounce that? Marquardt?
Marquardt, that's, yep.
Now, I got to be honest. The build-up was, how's Chael going to beat this guy? I mean, he's a great wrestler. I mean, you are a great wrestler. You're what is it? NCAA All-American, right?
That's correct,
But this guy was built up. He was pretty packed. You controlled him from the opening. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I had a pretty good night, and I think I finally went off at a 5-1 underdog. I opened at a 2.5-1 underdog. Usually that gap shortens. It's very rare that it expands. So, the masses were pretty confident that he was going to win, and I wasn't sure myself. He is a very tough guy.
Yeah, but what was your strategy in fighting? Was to take him down as fast as you could, right?
Try to get him down, try to just get my hands on him and wear him out, even if we run our feet, but not to fight him in like a boxing range where you're toe-to-toe, as they say, to actually get my hands on him and be able to push him and pull him and take a little of that energy away was my main game plan.
Well, you stunned the hell out of him, and I'm going to tell you something else. By the middle of the second round, he looked exhausted to me. Did you sense that?
Yeah, I definitely felt that he was pretty fatigued and breathing hard. And, when I got that top position, now he's got to work twice as hard. He's got to move his body around and mine, whereas I just have to maintain top position. So he was working overtime, and it wore him out for sure.
I'm going to tell you something. I was snowed in. There was nothing to do in this damn place. And then I remembered, wait a minute, 10 p.m. Eastern. I went in, I bought it, and I'm watching it. I'm waiting for your fight because I'm saying I'm rooting for him because he's a Republican.
Oh, well, very nice. I appreciate that. Hey, let me tell you a quick story. You tell me if this is funny or not. So I bought Liberty and Tyranny today.
Yes.
And when I bought the book, I cheated a little bit. I buy it online. I get the audio version. So it's read to me like a children would like to have. But it's how I prefer to do my reading these days. I buy the book. When I go on, I've got to enter. I don't know I'm going to do the show at this point. I have no idea. This is completely coincidental. So you got to enter your credit card. You put your mailing address. You put a contact phone number in case they can't ship it to you. I send it. It takes about 3.5 to 4 minutes to download. Before it was even downloaded, my phone's ringing, and somebody asks, do you want to do the Mark Levin show? Well, I thought it was like a Big Brother watching you type situation, and somebody at the podcast had received my order and is now pulling a joke or something.
Oh, really?
So, I had a little bit of a heated conversation, or more of an inquisitive conversation back and forth as to why they thought it was okay to call, why they, I didn't recognize the number of somebody out of New York to line it up. So, yeah, kind of a funny deal. So I'm a fan of yours as well, and I'm thrilled to be here, and I just happened to inquire and get your book today, all coincidentally.
Well, listen, I'll send you a signed copy. Can I do that?
Absolutely. Unless this is all part of the joke and this isn't actually...
No. There's no joke. There's no joke. Let me tell you something.
I see. So I recognize the voice.
No. Yeah, like squeaky. I get it. But, can I tell you something? I had my nose broken by one of my brothers, and I don't even remember when we were fighting, but we used to fight now and then. And I went to a doctor, and they're talking about how they fix it and have to fix this and go to the throat. The hell with that. So I'm not as strong as you. Pain does affect me.
Pain affects me too, and I'll tell you, you made the right choice, getting it fixed. And even a lot of doctors will level with you, and they'll say, hey, getting this fixed is going to be far more painful than if you just go ahead and live the rest of your life with it. So
yeah, they were
think
talking
you made
about
the right decision.
Well, good, because it sounded pretty bloody, and I just decided... But what is it with me? Why am I so fascinated? Well, first of all, why are you so fascinated with this sport? It's painful as hell.
It is. There is a big downside. And I think if you're going to answer that question honestly, and I'll hear a bunch of these guys answer the question various ways, and they'll talk about the martial arts and the discipline. And, I think at the end of the day, it feeds my ego. I think that's really what it is. I love to hear the roar of the crowd, I love when a gentleman like you pays me a compliment on the radio times like this. I think that's really what it is, because the sport itself is not fun. And people will always ask me, are you excited? Do you love it out there? Do you love to fight? I think, for heaven's sakes, no, I don't love to fight, and no, it isn't fun. Does anything about that look fun? So I enjoy the walk to the ring, and I enjoy the walk out of the ring, but I don't like the in-between. The actual match itself is by far my least favorite part.
Yeah, but you're like a gladiator, right? That's
definitely
what's
like
pretty,
a gladiator,
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And the rules see to that. There's very limited rules, and you're going in with a goal of doing damage and trying to get a grown man to surrender.
Now, you a couple of things I noticed during this fight. First of all, he had you in one of the, I forget what one of those choke holds. He almost got you, but you wouldn't tap. What do you call that hold? I forget.
They call that the guillotine.
That's it, the guillotine. Yep.
He locks his arms right around your neck and is, figuratively trying to pull your head. They did in the guillotines back in the day. So, and it was tight. You're right. I thought that the tables were getting turned. When he locked that on, I thought, oh, shoot. And people ask me, how'd you get out of that? How'd you get out of that? I don't know. All I remember is when I was in it, I remember praying and saying, oh, God, please don't let it end like this. And I said 3 or 4 times and finally popped my head out of there, but it was awfully tight.
Now, I got to ask you this, because they did a close-up picture of this. You had one hell of a cut on the right side of your forehead. I mean, how many stitches did that require?
Well, they have a plastic surgeon. They've got about every doctor you can think of there. And it's regulated by the Athletic Commission, which is at the discretion of the General's office. So it's very well organized behind the scenes. They had a plastic surgeon there. He did 15 stitches on the outside, but he also did the stitches that go on the inside that you don't ever see. And I'm guessing that he did about a dozen of those. I'm making that number up, but I'll bet you I'm pretty close. So I'm guessing somewhere around 25 stitches. And what's really interesting, Mark, is he only hit me one time to open that up, and he did
that was an
much
elbow.
Damage.
It's because of that elbow, and that elbow's a killer.
Yeah, that elbow's a killer. It's a very sharp bone, a very sharp part of the body. And when I got those 20-some stitches, all I could think is, geez, I'm glad he didn't hit me twice.
Yeah, and you won. That makes it feel a little better, right?
That does make it feel better, yep.
Now, what about the bridge of your nose? Did you crack your nose, or did he just cut your nose?
I did. I got a nasal fracture, and I also had to get 4 stitches on the bridge of my nose, and then on the inside there was a nasal fracture. And I don't totally know what that means, but it's not the same as like a broken nose. The doctor was even fairly dismissive. He did the x-ray and said, oh, well, you only have a nasal fracture, and sent me on my way. And it doesn't hurt is the good news. So,
well, I'm doing this just so people, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of us do, though, but I want them to know what goes on in that ring. But I got to say, your opponent, he was exhausted. He had black and blue marks all over his body. I honestly thought he was going to go in there and kick your butt in 30 seconds. Didn't you get that impression?
I think he did, too. I listened to some of the pre-fight build-up, and I think he was pretty sincere when he was dismissing me. That was a contender fight. The winner of that match was declared the #1 contender for the World Championship. And I think that was a spot that he was just very confident he would get in. One in his own mind, but then as well, like I said, the fans and everything, they drove him to a 5-1 favorite. That was, I think, the biggest spread on the entire card, 5-1. So, yeah, you get told it enough times, you start to believe it's true. And, I think he thought it was going to be a walk in the park, as they say.
Yeah, well, I was rooting for you, baby, and you came through.
I appreciate that.
Now, Chael Sonnen is who I'm talking to, one of the great fighters, middleweight fighter, UFC. Now, you're running for a state House seat in Oregon because the guy's running for Congress. Now, where is this House seat?
This is it's a suburb of Portland. The city is West Linn. It's West Linn and Tualatin. That's my hometown, is West Linn, Oregon. The gentleman who has